A little quiz for you. What aperture do you believe this image was shot at? I know that it looks like an f1.4 or it looks like an f2, but indeed you're looking at f5.6. Now the reason why, of course, is that today we are talking about the Sony 135mm G Master lens. Let's get into it. So today we're talking about the 135mm G Master lens. I want to talk just a little bit about working with it and its attributes, and then we're going to take a look at some example footage and example images from shooting with this lens and what kind of an image it renders. But first, as always, everything I do is brought to you by Camera Lessons Online. So that's the website. On there I have a 4-hour introduction to photography video course, that's also where you can learn about the books on macro photography and travel photography that I've written, so go and check it out. But let's get into this lens. Let's talk about just what it's like to work with this lens. It's a relatively big lens, as you would expect a 135mm to be. What I'm really glad that Sony did here was they made it an f1.8 rather than an f1.4, and that significantly saved on size and weight. And when you're shooting this telephoto, you really don't need f1.4. I think that that's just a party piece. That's kind of a your single money shot. But it doesn't necessarily add dramatically to the background defocus that you can achieve. I don't think it necessarily adds to the aesthetics of the image either. So making it 1.8 made it smaller, made it lighter than an f1.4 would be of the same image quality. This is a beautifully designed lens. It's a little bit hefty. We've got a nice large focusing ring on it. We have a aperture ring. It goes from f1.8 to f22, and you do have click control on it, which is fantastic. We have 2 autofocus hold buttons, one on each side, so if you're shooting vertically or horizontally, you have control over it. And of course, you've got your autofocus and manual focus switch. And interestingly, and I think this is a strange little touch, you have a focus limiter switch on it. Now, focus limiter switches are typically used with lenses that are used for wildlife or sports or other kind of action sequences. And as I want to show you, I don't actually believe this is a particularly fast focusing lens. It's by no means slow, by no means whatsoever. But I didn't find it to be particularly fast. I tried shooting a little bit of action with it, and it didn't keep up as well as the 100 to 400 would have, or the 70 to 200s in the series would have. And so that's an interesting little touch that they've added to it. But what I really want to do is take this guy and do a portrait shoot, which is what this lens is really designed for. So without further ado, let's get into that.
So this is going to be a one light portrait session that you're seeing here with end results. And first, this is an 11 blade aperture, so it's a really beautiful defocus background. Even though I did not place light sources in the background, which you've seen a lot of people do to really accentuate that, I still think it produces a beautiful background. In a second, we're going to double check detail, but I want to take a look at color contrast here. And I think the subject stands out in contrast and in color really, really well against the background, which is just gorgeous. The rendering of color is beautiful. So now I want to take a look at an image in depth. Now, you know that I test a lens by going in 100% in, and that tests detail for me. Anything beyond that is extra that I don't expect out of a lens. So of course at 100%, we're expecting pretty much perfection. And you know what? Seriously, this thing is nearly too sharp. We see every part of detail in the skin, but look at the contrast that we get there as well. Light contrast and contrast to background, which is exceptional. I think it's a very accurate color tone. It's not an enhanced color tone, which the G Master lenses are kind of known for not really enhancing color. So here we're at 400%, way beyond the detail I would ever expect out of a lens. So every single box I want to really check off, this lens really has in spades. That's color, that's contrast, that's detail, and accuracy, which is amazing.
So I've written up kind of a full review. You can view it on the blog. I'll put a link in the description. But the short round is this is a fantastic lens to use for portraiture. I used it now a couple times. Once trying to shoot a little bit of action sequence, which did not go so well. 2 times doing outside setup, single light portraiture, and I thought it just was brilliant. It's a fantastic focal length. You're not too far away from your subject. It renders background beautifully, and it's just exquisitely well made. So this is an absolute win in the Sony G Master lineup. I would shoot with this over the 100mm, and as much as I love that lens, that's saying something. I don't think that it would replace the 85mm in my bag, because 85mm I'm really comfortable with half body shots, but the two are kind of a perfect pairing for me in individual portraiture. So if that was useful or at least entertaining, I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe. You knew that. It's free. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for taking your time to watch. See you later.